Yu-Gi-Oh! GX has more duels than any other Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, and yet there are still a number of matchups we never got to see. In this list, I'll count down my top 10 Wish They Dueled matchups for GX. Some rules as we go down the list, and these are just rules I apply to myself, so feel free to bend or break them as you comment your own dream matchups. 1. The duel can't have appeared in the anime. 2. If two duelists dueled off screen, only showed a minimal portion of their duel or were shown in a flashback, then it can't be used in this list. For example, Amnael vs Manjome. 3. Tag duels can be separated into 1 vs 1s. For example, Rei and Kenzan duel Judai and Asuka, so this means Rei vs Asuka is still an option. However, 2 vs 1s cannot be separated. For example, Judai and Johan dueled Fujiwara at once, so I won't separate Judai vs Fujiwara or Johan vs Fujiwara as options. 4. Characters introduced in Duel Monsters are not eligible even if they appeared in GX, so that includes the likes of Yugi, Kaiba, Pegasus, Grandpa, etc. And 5. Characters in a brainwashed or evil state do not count as their regular forms. For example, Ammon dueled Johan under the control of Yubel, so Ammon versus regular Johan is still on the table. With that said, let's start counting down.
Number 10.
Kaiser vs Asuka. These two are seemingly the best of the Blue Dorm in Season 1 and are close friends during that season. The reason I dropped this to 10 is because most, if not all of us, agree that Kaiser wins this, but I think it had a perfect opportunity to occur in Gen X after Asuka has been brainwashed into the Society of Light. She sort of comes to her own senses when she takes over for her friends to defeat Sommelier, and then fully after Judai defeats her, but an alternative to that would have been for Kaiser to defeat her. Kaiser was a lurking force in Season 2, and at the time many of us probably thought he was on the road to evil, setting us up for a round 3 with Judai that never came. Kaiser does defeat Fubuki, who has a bit of darkness in him, so seeing him also defeat someone with some light of destruction in her would have been a neat way to insert him squarely into the gray area, building him up further for his shining moment in Season 3.
Number 9.
Jim vs O'Brien. Season 3 is filled with a whole bunch of new characters, 4 of which are top duelists of other duel academies from around the world. Now, if you ask me, we probably didn't need 4, and since Johan and Ammon play the most significant roles, consider this the duel that decides who gets to stay. Just kidding, both of these guys are pretty cool, known mostly for their efforts to save Judai from his darkness once the rest of the friend group goes down. Jim took Supreme King down to 50 life points while O'Brien took him to a draw, and that's what makes a showdown between them so intriguing. If they give Jim a pyro-based fossil fusion to take advantage of O'Brien's graveyard, I could see him taking this one.
Number 8.
Misawa vs Kenzan. This marks the showdown between the two most prominent raw yellow duelists. It also makes for an interesting aesthetic as it pits Kenzan's dinosaurs of flesh versus Misawa's dinosaurs of water. This duel would have made good sense in Season 2 as Misawa tries to knock off duels to impress Sayo. I figure Misawa will concoct some strategy uniquely tailored to take down Kenzan, like something to do with meteors, exterminating all the dinosaurs, enabling him to nab the win.
Number 7.
Amnael vs Kronos. The basic premise behind this matchup is that you have the cool, laid-back professor that everyone loves versus the uptight, mean professor everyone hates. But on a deeper level, I like this matchup especially from a plot standpoint. I don't like that Kronos was taken out right away by the 7 stars, especially when he's the head of Obelisk Blue. Seeing him duke it out versus the head of Osiris Red, though, would have been a great matchup. Like I mentioned in my video of top 10 wasted characters from GX, which you can check out with the link in the corner in the description, I would have liked to see Kronos' role expanded some more, and one specific way to do that would have been more professor duels. Amnael vs Kronos is my most preferred matchup among these.
Number 6.
Ammon vs Judai. I seem to mean the minority of folks who like Ammon as a character. Like, yeah, as a person he's hot garbage, but as a character, he adds a nice layer to a very busy Season 3, but uniquely, a layer that Judai doesn't touch. That's saying something considering Judai is otherwise overly involved in every other aspect of the plot. Ammon has some nice wins under his belt, including Manjome and Edo, as well as taking Yubel to the brink. So a duel against Judai would be a dramatic finish, even if Judai expectedly gets the dub.
Number 5.
Sayo vs Fujiwara. I'm sure most people don't care to see these two match up outside of the villain versus villain aspect, so allow me to explain. This is a battle of philosophies. It pits the light of destruction versus darkness, the two biggest antagonists of GX. Both forces are out to destroy the world, but with different motives. With the light of destruction, you have this arrogant, holier-than-thou light that corrupts others into viewing humanity as a target for extermination. With darkness, you have the nihilistic being that wants to plunge the world into darkness, devoid of hopes and relationships. As for why I picked these two, well, the light of destruction isn't ever shown as a being, it's just a force of nature. Darkness, meanwhile, does exist as a being, but personally, I find Fujiwara's deck more interesting. So the two characters that best embody each of these forces are Sayo and Fujiwara, who sport decks that also make for an interesting matchup. While not exactly opposing forces, they do each play to the forces behind them. Arcana Force represents the absoluteness of destiny, befitting the light of destruction as it views humans as powerless to the whims of the universe. On the other hand, Clear World represents the nihilistic darkness by its death to individuality, i.e. how it punishes players based on the attributes they play, and itself runs monsters without attributes. So that's my explanation behind this choice, and yeah, I can't really condense everything I want to say, so definitely check out this video with a card in the corner or link in the description as part 1 of my series where I explore the life lessons and themes of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, specifically how GX debunks the idea that light is good and dark is evil.
Number 4.
Kaiser vs. Manjome. Chalk this one up as the one I'm most surprised we didn't get. The manga writers probably thought so too, as they did write a duel between these two. As far as the anime goes, this is a nice matchup of Big Fish and Small Pond versus Trust Fund Baby. Okay, to be fair, both characters basically shake off those monikers over the course of the series, and both of them also go on to become two of the most formidable duelists in the series not named Judai. This matchup even had the perfect opportunity to occur as the final in the Gen X tournament before Kaiser decided it wasn't worth his time. Needless to say, watching the Ojama trio take on a man as hell-bent as Hell Kaiser would make for as funny a duel as it is entertaining. Give me the Kaiser in this one.
Number 3.
Another Kaiser duel, this one between him and Supreme King Judai. This is a duel I think many folks expected to see when Kaiser said he was looking for the ultimate duel as his personal send-off to the world. What we got instead was one of the best duels of the series in Johan/Yubel versus Kaiser, but make no mistake that Supreme King versus Kaiser would have been just as glorious. The real draw here is that Judai and Kaiser have unfinished business. Judai has never defeated Kaiser, and their last duel was a tie. While I'm counting Supreme King and Judai as two separate entities when it comes to dueling opponents, contextually, the matchup has a fair amount of history building up to it. I actually think Kaiser would have gotten the win here, assuming his heart doesn't give out.
Number 2.
Johan versus Edo. Take out the elements of plot, and this is easily the number 1 duel everyone should want to see. The reason for that is very simple. Pegasus, the creator of the game, ranks Yugi, Kaiba, and Joey as the top 3 duels in the world, but right after them are Edo at 4 and Johan at 5. Pegasus of course likely said this before meeting Judai, so at worst it's 5 versus 6. These two would also make for a fantastic matchup as it's Judai in blue font versus Judai in italicized font. Jokes aside, Johan is a Judai-esque character from his personality to his connection to the cards, whereas Edo runs the vigilante version of Judai's deck. So seeing Destiny Heroes square off versus Crystal Beast is the dreamiest of dream matchups. Rainbow Dragon versus Plasma. Let's go! I'm still hoping they do this one as one of those scripted duels at a YCS or national qualifier. Give me Edo in a close one, and I do mean close because of all the matchups on here, this is the toughest one to call.
Number 1.
Supreme King versus Sho. Inserting plot back into the calculations, this is my number 1 wish they dueled matchup, and to this day, I still don't get why we didn't get it. You got characters who just met Judai, like Jim and O'Brien, putting it all on the line to snap him out of the darkness, but Judai's alleged best friend, quote-unquote, little bro, just wants to sit and watch from the sidelines. Out of all the character mishandlings in GX, and there are a lot, as you can see in this video of my top 10 wasted characters of GX, Sho in Season 3 is up there as the most egregious. It's like Yugi versus Brainwashed Joey, except this time it's the friend who needs to do the saving. The setup is literally perfect for the best friend to be the one to get through to the corrupted protagonist, because the whole reason Judai is unable to control the gentle darkness is because of the anger he feels having lost his friends. I like O'Brien, I think it's neat that they allow him to draw with Supreme King, but Sho was the obvious and correct choice to finally free Judai from the darkness. So that does it for my top 10 list of Wish They Dueled GX Edition. Comment below who you think would win each of these matchups and what are some other hypothetical matchups you would have loved to see. And be sure to like and subscribe for more countdown lists and other anime and manga content in the future.